guys, welcome to another episode of Today with Ray. I'm your host, Rhema T, and this is the show that highlights everyday entrepreneurs. So if you haven't joined the journey, make sure you hit that subscribe button. This week, I'm here with Maxton with AFC, which stands for American Family Care. He's going to tell us a little bit more about that. How are you today?
Doing great. Yeah, excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So we're going to open up this interview. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why it is that you became an entrepreneur.
Okay, yeah. So I've lived in the Wilmington area for 10 years now. Came as a UNCW student and fell in love with the area, didn't want to leave. I was living at the beach for a while. And unfortunately, COVID hit, and the fun jobs had to go away, and it was kind of a time to revitalize life, and let's think, all right, what do you want to do now? And I just reached out to my network that I'd made through school and through life, and my godfather actually let me know that there was a opportunity with one of his business partners that they were doing in New Jersey. And he was like, hey, if you're not working right now, you have a business degree, you're driven, we want to open up in North Carolina. It's like, okay, well, I'd love to take on the opportunity. And so after 18 months of hard work and, strong communication between both ends, because they're in New York, I'm down in North Carolina, of course, or here in Wilmington. But yeah, it was a struggle moving forward, but I'm really happy that I just dug right into it, and I'm really happy to have the team that I had around me to help get everything going. So
I love hearing that, and I want to point out with you saying that you moved to Wilmington about 10 years ago for college and everything. You are now classified as a Wilmington resident. After 10 years, you are considered a local. So the question, being someone that moved here, how do you view it now with the influx of people that are moving here for jobs and our economy and lifestyle here? What's your take on that?
Honestly, I don't blame them. It's after living somewhere else for my whole life previously and then moving here for college, I was like, okay, everyone that I've met, because I worked at a resort, the Blockade Runner, for a while. And working there was fun because everyone that was there was on vacation. They were working super hard to be there for 2 days a year, a week out of the year. It's like, okay, if you work super hard just to be here for the limited amount of time, obviously it's great to live here. So I'm not surprised at all that people are wanting to move in. And as well, it's kind of cool to see the level of entrepreneurship and other businesses moving in to grow because Wilmington does have that opportunity to grow. It's interesting now to see that some businesses are kind of turning over. They're kind of growing towards the outskirts. But I'm just really excited to see Wilmington kind of waking back up. Because COVID hit and everything closed down for a while. Some of my favorite restaurants that I had been, some staple sandwiches I'll miss are no longer with us. But it's cool that people saw the opportunity to come back in and bring the city back to life. But unfortunately, the traffic is getting a little worse.
It's getting a little worse.
It was a matter of time with social media before everyone found out that we were just an awesome little spot here on the coast. So a hidden gem, if you will. It's
not becoming so hidden anymore. Understandably. So. Let's get into AFC. You talked a little bit how you had this opportunity presented to you. When exactly, did you start in the middle of COVID, or was this kind of an idea? When did you exactly start AFC?
Yeah, so it wasn't exactly a popular idea for my mother for me to go directly into the healthcare route during the peak of the pandemic. But honestly, I'm looking at the trajectory. It was weird to be in the service industry, hospitality side, and just see that the jobs could just end at any moment. It's like, okay, I either need to go IT or healthcare because I don't want to be in a job in the future where I'm not in control of my employment or that kind of thing. And so even more so, just to have security of employment, it's like, what if I went into business for myself or went into business with someone else? And so given that this was a franchise and not just people trying to put the business together, luckily we had a awesome platform to work with, a great resource base, great people to kind of guide us through as we were, going at it. And I had a hospitality background, so I knew kind of how to treat people coming in, and I was kind of thinking, okay, let's just translate hospitality to healthcare and see how that will work. But I'm really enjoying the place that we're at, and just AFC as a whole. It's cool that I have great partners that I can rely on and bounce questions off with, and that we can sort of bring a different level of care here to Wilmington, adding a little bit more hospitality, a little bit more acute care, and, when the patients walk in, show excitement that they're there,
Yeah. So we were talking off camera, and you mentioned to me that you are technically a urgent care. How would you explain that for someone that's like, oh, they think immediate hospital or like ER? Can you tell us the terminology of like what exactly categorizes you as an urgent care, or some of the misconceptions that you do or you don't do as an urgent care?
Yeah, so I would say the difference between like an urgent care and like an emergency room in terms of where would you want to go in terms of like a life or death matter. So like if you wake up and you have an incredibly sore throat, like you're not going to die from it, but you need to do something about it, that's an urgent care moment. But let's say that you're woodworking in your garage and you sever your arm and it can be very close to an artery and you're bleeding, go directly to the emergency room. Like life or death, that I would say that's the thing. But if you're not feeling the best, or you just need something to look at and it's not necessarily going to kill you, but you really don't want to go through the day without doing something about it, that's where we can fill in the need. We have a great pediatric specialist working full-time as well. Another family nurse practitioner working full-time. She has some OB, women's health specialty background as well. We have a emergency physician. He has a background in the emergency room. And then a few other providers that have some acute specialties like dermatology, women's health, recovery. And depending on what day you come in, we can find a specialist that will work for you. But it's kind of cool to be able to be a one-stop shop, given that if you come in and you have aches and pains, or you need a drug test, or you're about to go for a new job, you need a physical, or you might have broken your arm and you need an X-ray. We can do all of that for you just in one place. And if you need a place to come in with your kids and you're worried about that, we can take care of your kids at the same time. We offer that specialty as well. So
amazing. It does sound like a one-stop shop. And I want to ask you, on a personal note, how was that for you going into the healthcare field in the midst of COVID? How was that? Like, I know everyone was kind of scared and panicky, but like, how was it on the business side, you taking that risk to say, okay, this is a need, I'm gonna fill that need, but like, holy crap, this is the scariest time to take that need?
Well, given that it is a franchise, I had the unique opportunity to work with a center that had just opened in December, almost a year prior to our own center opening.
Okay.
And so being in there in the midst of the pandemic, I mean, I will say most days I had my mask on before I even walked into the center.
Right.
Every other person that was coming in, if not every person, was testing positive. It was scary, but I just had my wits about me. I was taking my immune boosters. I was washing my hands. I was just being meticulous about what did I touch, just keeping the mask on. And luckily, I remained healthy throughout the entirety of it. But I will say it was a scary time to see so many people that just really looked like they didn't have any clue what to do, or they just had this like overt sense of fear. It's like, it's one thing to be sick, but it's another thing to kind of have that fear that COVID kind of like drew along with it, of like, am I really going to be okay, or what's the test going to be? And I know that the media, kind of drove a lot more attention towards it, and so there was a little bit more of like, thought-provoking ideas around it, and how safe is it? And some information, wasn't always spread or available to everyone. And so that was the thing that mainly was just educating everyone that came in. Like any questions that they had, just answer them fully. Just try and make it so that when they came in, regardless of what they were feeling, they left feeling secure with whatever they had, positive or not, but just having a newfound sense of what the virus was and how to treat it and just how to be okay, and or actually, hey, you just have a cold, you're good.
You're good.
So that was the main thing, was just having that sense of, okay, everyone that's coming in feels terrible or is not happy to be there, and just meet them with the most kindness or the most compassion or the most information that you could offer. So that way, they walk out the door thinking, hey, if I need anything, I'm going to come back.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was scary, but it was also an opportunity to kind of like be that sense of strength for somebody else. So that was cool.
Beautiful. You mentioned that you have a hospitality background, but your hospitality background goes deeper than school or your previous job. It actually goes to your childhood, as far as, you know, being raised with animals and stuff, and it's not your typical dog or cat. Can you tell the audience what animal you grew up with?
Yeah, so a lot of kids, like she said, pet dog, pet cat. I had pet cows.
Yeah.
They were Jersey dairy cows. We had a small fenced-in pasture behind our house growing up, just large enough for 2 cows and a donkey. And so growing up, it wasn't, you know, wake up and go eat breakfast. It was wake up, go outside, take care of the cows, then come back in, then, you know, get yourself going. And then as soon as you come home, it's not, you know, do homework, it's go out, take care of the cows, then come back in, reset. So it was really cool to kind of have that different dynamic that everyone that I went to school with. I grew up in a more country town, but it was more like like agriculture, not as much, not as much like livestock. And so it was really fun to just come into school in the morning and just be like, you're not going to believe what my cow did this morning. And they're just like, what? They're like, oh, I was, you know, filling up the water bucket and it licked my ear. You're not going to believe that. They're like, wow, that's something, you know? It's not really, I realized I couldn't relate to too many people with that. It was more just like something I kind of had to myself. But I'm very thankful that my dad chose to kind of instill that on my brother and I at an early age, because it just kind of made me appreciate things a little bit more. I'm not sure if it made me more responsible, but at least I would say I was more responsible at the time.
Yeah. So. And you said that you also like to garden or fruits, vegetables, all of that stuff. How do those principles that you take translate into the work life that you have, especially being in the healthcare field or just being people focused? How have those things that were instilled in you at a young age kind of transformed over into what you do today?
Yeah, so I was told from an early age, you know, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, okay?
Yeah.
It is greener where you water it. And so
beautiful.
I know that's a phrase that's been tossed around a lot, but it really just kind of resonated with me. My mother would share that with me a lot, that I don't need to look for, you know, outside sources or, you know, anything else for happiness. Like anything that you put effort to or care to, you know, it can be great or it can grow or it can get the help it needs. And I've found that I really enjoy experiences and connecting with people. And when I was the reason for somebody having a good time, or like when my name would pop up in a review, or, you know, I knew, or they would, you know, come back 6 months later to the same vacation spot and remember like, hey, there's the guy that, you know, helped me out with this, or, you know, I loved having that sense of just deeper connectivity with someone. And I know that with, you know, hospitality and just with that added sense of attention to different situations that need that, it's just a unique opportunity with healthcare, is that somebody's coming to you and they are not in the best place. You know, they need somebody that can help them out. And so being able to, you know, take the extra time, take the extra resources and really just deliver them, you know, everything that they need, that's really great. And, you know, hospitality, like, you know, travel, like resorts, that's fun. It's great to give those experiences. And, you know, that's like over days and hopefully those memories last a lifetime, you know, but at the same point, now we're just in the emergent, like you wake up and you're not where you're at the previous day, but, you know, we'll get you back up on your feet. And so, yeah, I like I love everyone that I've met in the Wilmington community. I think that's another reason that's made me stick here, is just all the friendships and relationships I've made that, you know, if I'm not here, like I'm not, you know, with those people. And so it's kind of cool to be able to give back in a place where I feel so welcome and have a framework to do that. So.
Yeah, and I love that you use that phrase of giving back, because I remember you telling me at a previous networking event how you recently just did something awesome with your hair in the form of giving back. Tell us a little bit about what exactly you did.
Yeah, so I realized that a lot of people that I've met since I've opened American Family Care, I opened up with about 13 more inches of hair at the time. It was kind of like a you know, Moana-esque sort of style. But I realized that, you know, it was heating up and just, you know, doing it every morning. I was like, okay, I want to cut it, but I didn't just want to trim it. I wanted to make a difference. And I was like, okay, I've always thought it would be cool to donate hair. I thought that was awesome. You know, what if I were to donate that myself? Like, you don't really hear too many guys, you know, donating their hair. It's like, yeah, I'll give it a go. And so I reached out to my barber. I was like, hey man, do you donate hair? He's like, yeah, we can do that. Just bring a bag and some, you know, some hair ties. I was like, all right, let's go. And put all the ties together, and one by one just shaved all the ponytails off, and had a bag of 13 inches of hair that's now donated to Wigs for Kids. So that was a really cool experience to do, and I'm actually just gonna probably grow my hair right back out and do it again.
That's beautiful.
So, and I have an employee, she's a just phenomenal, just ray of sunshine. And she's actually a cancer survivor.
Wow.
And so I chose to donate the hair in her name, just to honor her as an employee. So that's just kind of, I mean, she's wonderful, and I wanted to do something to honor her. And just, I will say that, like American Family Care, like we are sort of like a family. And so just, I don't know, everything that resonates with that, it's just good to have a vessel to be able to put all that care into. Yeah, my hair it's gone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Look, I gotta change the subject or I'll start crying. I'm such a sob like that for good stories. So, I want to ask, a lot of people on the show tend to be like first-time entrepreneurs starting from kind of the ground up, and not to take away from anything that you are doing with American Family Care, but as a franchisee, what differences or roles have you seen that someone else's framework, you're just taking someone else's framework and then putting it somewhere else as the business owner here somewhere else? How was that for you?
Yeah, so I would say it's entrepreneurial in the sense that I saw an opportunity and I seized the opportunity. But I would say that in terms of any hurdles or challenges that I had to go over that a lot of other entrepreneurs like do encounter, I would say that I was lucky in the sense that a lot of those roadblocks I already had sort of a solution or an answer, or somebody that I could ask a question to help get over that. Like finding, you know, commercial liability insurance, or lining up the contractors, or, you know, making sure that my grand opening was happening on time, or, you know, setting up all of my, you know, online marketing to make sure that my grand opening was actually reaching a larger audience. And then given that I didn't have a medical background, I just love people and wanted to be in an environment where I could just, you know, interact and give back. I was like, okay, how do I figure that out? So then I had to find a medical director, you know, hire them, and then use them to help, you know, hire actual medical professionals and know, like, you know, I don't know how to interview a physician, but now I do. And so I would say that having that sort of support system, that framework to drive the business was very crucial in terms of getting everything, like, you know, online. Without all of that, I think it probably would have taken maybe twice as long, because I would have run into things and not known, oh, it takes 30 days to process that, or oh, it takes 60 days, you have to submit that to the city and then just wait. And then if it gets approved, great. If it doesn't, you got to restart. And so there were lots of things that, because the franchise offered, you know, like helpful timelines, if you will, like, okay, in 6 months have this done, in 8 months have this done. I was already thinking to the future without having to, like, if anything, plan my own future. And then I was able from there, since I had that framework, to just kind of fill in all the cracks. You know, it's like, okay, I'm doing this, but oh wait, hold on, I don't have this ordered yet. Or hey, I realized that this is what all the centers do, but has anyone thought about maybe adding this in the waiting room? You know, kind of little ideas as it's just building. And so that was cool to be able to offer, they're called variance reports, where I would just be like, hey, I have an idea. They wanted the lobby to be gray. I was like, I don't want a gray lobby. I want bright wood. I want, you know, natural, like, you know, like live oak. Like, I want it to look coastal. I want it to feel local. I don't want it to feel like a franchise. Like, I love the franchise. I think that American Family Care is one of the best frameworks out there. But I also think that the necessary you know, personal touches to kind of, you know, connect with the Wilmington community a little bit more was necessary. And it was awesome that AFC was willing to work with me on that and say, hey, you know what, that's a little bit of a variance, but that's fine. Let's do that. That sounds great. It'll work, you know, well for your center. So I would say for, you know, other entrepreneurs, find somebody that has either established a business, in the industry that you want to go into, or just find a mentor that can help you. My business partner, he's in a different franchise, and so he understood, how to work with the franchise and how to, get the most out of it. And so that was also crucial to the success with that. But I would say as well, ask as many questions as possible, because I realized in all these meetings, all these Zooms and everything else, I was like, okay, I'm realizing I have more questions than answers.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't afraid to ask any questions, and luckily they weren't afraid to answer me either. And so that was another thing, is I wasn't afraid to let them know that I didn't know, but then I got to learn everything, and then I just, took it from there.
Yeah.
And so getting over that fear of not knowing and that fear of needing to ask, that was big. But as soon as I just got over that and was willing to just, 2 ears, 1 mouth, listen more than you speak, I've been doing well.
That's so true. And a lot of the other guests have mentioned that you don't know everything as an entrepreneur, well, as a person in general, but especially an entrepreneur, you don't know everything, and that you need to find your community of like-minded people, so that when you do have these questions or specific questions, it's like, I have people that I can go to. And speaking of questions, if people have questions about your business, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so very easily, you could just look up afcurgentcare.com/Wilmington. That's our site website. Frequently asked questions, all of our services, it's all up there. Or if you'd prefer to talk to somebody more personable, we have a phenomenal front desk staff. You can call 910-769-8080. And we'd be happy to talk to you about anything you have going on. We're actively accepting new primary care patients, as well as accepting, all ages. We're open 7 days a week. We're open every single day at 8 a.m. We're also doing, DOT physicals, occupational medicine. We can handle workers' comp. We can kind of do everything, sort of a one-stop shop in town. So yeah, if anybody is needing primary care, or if anyone just wants to set up an annual physical, or you need to, get a proper, state-regulated drug test for an upcoming job, we can take care of all that. So,
beautiful. We're going to wrap this up. I have 2 more questions for you. One being, how can the community help Maxton?
Okay. Yeah. So the community could help me. Honestly, just come check us out. Come see the difference. We've been generating some good reviews online, but we really do care about everyone that we see. And so I guess just come help me by just coming and see the difference. Come check out American Family Care. Trust us with your care, and I promise you won't be disappointed. So
great answer. And then my last question for you: what advice would you give to someone that's looking to be an entrepreneur?
Okay. I would say be very comfortable with not knowing things, because you can always learn. Be very comfortable asking questions, because otherwise you'll never have the answer. And then also find a mentor, find a network, find somebody that is doing better than you or doing what you want to be doing already, and ask them questions. Learn from them. Don't take everything as if you need to gain from someone. Sometimes it's great just to make a friend. I would say that a lot of opportunities in life and just different business avenues that have come up with a medical sense have just come from friendships that I had before I was in the medical field. And so be careful, you don't want to burn any bridges. And just be open to receive advice. I've had some people that have really put me in my place, be like, you're young, you have no idea what you're doing, and they were right. I'm still young, and there are still things that I'm learning, and I accept that. And my challenge to myself is just to learn and then progress, and don't be the same person I am now, in 5 years. Because that's the other thing, is don't ever be complacent. Don't think you know everything, because you don't. The more I've learned, the more I've realized how much I do not know.
Yeah.
And that's a very scary thing, but something that we live with every day. But yeah, just be open to criticism, be open to advice, and just be hungry. But just keep an open mind. Yeah.
What a great answer. And speaking of hungry, we're gonna wrap this episode up so that we can eat, because I know that you love food.
Let's do it.
I love food. So if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you share it, and if you're in the local Wilmington area, make sure you check out AFC Care. I'm Rhema T. Make sure you go out to support a local business. Bye.